Welcome back to Orange Hat Reviews, everyone. Hope you're all having a wonderful day. So, episode 52 of Mystery Reviews. I gotta say that when I gave the hints, I'm pretty sure I made them very hard to guess because I did Carl Weathers and the 1980s. Carl Weathers was very active at the time in the 1980s, like movies like the Rocky movies, and I believe Predator, which is the movie that I am doing today, Predator. So, before we get started, this is going to be a longer stream because I'm going very, very deep behind the scenes. I am going in depth. I am going into lore and whatnot. So, yes, but before we do, I do want to give you guys a special treat. I have shared the screen for the trailer. That way I can basically give you guys a treat of what the show or what movie I'm doing. So, without further ado, let's get into it. And
we're a rescue team, not assassins. Now, what do we gotta do?
In a part of the world where there are no rules,
We pick up their trailer at the chopper, run them down, grab those hostages before anybody knows we were there. What do you mean we?
deep in the jungle, where nothing that lives is safe.
You lose it here, you're in a world of hurt. Shoot!
now I do like how they say we're a rescue team, not assassins, and you see the freaking minigun, Old Painless. That to me is extremely funny for this trailer.
Kid. Knock, knock.
An elite rescue squad
You're bleeding, man. I ain't got time to bleed.
is being led by the ultimate warrior.
We need the best. That's why you're here.
But now,
What's got Billy so spooked?
there's something out there waiting for us. And it ain't no man. They're up against the ultimate enemy.
Holy mother of God.
Nothing like it has ever been on Earth before.
I really do like how they hype up this trailer with the small scenes of the Predator. That is pretty cool.
There's a jungle. Just came alive and took him.
We cannot see it,
No blood, no bodies. We hit nothing.
but it sees the heat of our bodies and the heat of our fear.
Whatever it is out there, killed Harper. And now it wants us.
It kills for pleasure.
He was skinned alive.
It hunts
Okay, that when it stabs Dylan, Carl Weathers' character, that's just bad sound effects.
for sport.
He's killing us one at a time.
We're all gonna die.
But this time,
One of the
it's
most
picked the
iconic
wrong
lines.
man to hunt.
If it bleeds, we can kill it.
Twentieth Century Fox presents Arnold Schwarzenegger. Predator. The hunt begins Friday, June 12th at theaters everywhere.
Okay, so I'm going to stop it there so I don't get struck. But essentially, yes, folks, that is the movie that I am reviewing today, the original 1987 classic Predator. And so, yeah, let's dive into it. In 1987, there was a movie. It was such a cool movie about heat and conflict and an alien fucking up a special forces team in the jungles of Guatemala. Only 2 survivors came out of it. John McTiernan directs. The movie stars Arnold Schwarzenegger, Carl Weathers, Jesse Ventura, Bill Duke, Richard Chavez, Shane Black, Sonny Landham, and Elpidia Carrillo as Anna. Alan Silvestri did the score for this movie, and it truly an iconic score. I mean, when he did the score for this movie, it's in every freaking Predator movie. They have a hint of it in every movie where a Predator is shown. And we also had Kevin Peter Hall, God bless that actor, played the Predator. And sadly, Kevin Peter Hall passed away in, I believe, 1991. Or no, 1993. Well, we'll get into that later. Now, before we get started, a fun fact. Arnold Schwarzenegger became a governor. Jesse Ventura, I believe, became a governor. Sonny Landham tried to become a senator, but because he had raised controversial statements, he did not win a Senate seat. And apparently, he was also a porn star. So, from 20th Century Fox, the movie starts in space, and a lone ship travels by Earth, swinging just by, to drop a landing craft. You see the landing craft separate and drop into Earth's atmosphere. Now, I love when the title comes up, the music swells. We're then introduced to Dutch's men, Dutch's men, and a general, and a CIA guy who's played by Carl Weathers. He's a CIA liaison. They get driven, or after they get out of the chopper, you see Dutch, after his men get out, and the cigar, while on the helicopter, actually had to be digitally enhanced to make it glow more. That was one of the first digital shots of the movie, where they actually showed his cigar glowing more at the tip because apparently it didn't glow enough for them. Now, I really do like the intro to the scene. I mean, it shows you that these are hard asses coming in. Now, a lot of people will call them mercenaries, and a lot of people call them spec ops unit. It's like there's so many conflicting things. I mean, do the CIA and the U.S. military hire mercenaries, or do they actually hire or do they bring in spec ops groups under orders? So it does make one wonder, because mercenary groups can basically say, fuck all, we're done, we're not doing this anymore. At least that's been my opinion on it. I'm not sure if that really flies. However, them being a spec ops unit ties also into Predators, where Isabel Alicia Braga actually says a spec ops unit went into the jungle, 6 men plus a CIA liaison. So yeah. Also, you realize that General Phillips has history with Dutch, because he's like, it's been a long time, General. And they come in and they're talking about a cabinet minister who apparently his chopper got knocked or shot down while he was over the border in Guatemala, where there's known to be hostile territory. And he's like, so why don't you get the regular army? What do you need us for? Because some damn fool accused you of being the best. And that is like one of the greatest introductions. I'm not saying this just to be a hype or to suck up to anybody. That is literally one of the best introductions in film, in my opinion. Because it's like, that just works. Because some damn fool accused you of being the best. Okay. And we get the iconic scene where Carl Weathers and Arnold Schwarzenegger do their air arm wrestle. And this scene just works. I mean, it's just full of testosterone. It's the manly kind of scene, man. It's the manly scene of manly scenes, you know? And he's like, well, what's the matter? CIA have you pushing too many pencils? Take it easy on yourself, Dutch. And then he just continues to go down and down and down. He's like, okay, okay. I mean, Carl Weathers did an extremely good job in this film, in my opinion. So, one of the fun facts about this is that McTiernan actually had to fight to get Carl Weathers in this movie because apparently, this is going from John McTiernan's own words, there was a budgetary issue. So, yeah. Now, this scene also does a good job at setting up Dutch's morals and his code and his style, which Dylan says, you got no style, Dutch, you know that. So why'd you pass up Libya? He's like, we're a rescue team, not assassins. And I absolutely love that because you see the side glance that Dylan gives the general, and you know that they're basically bullshitting Dutch here. And when he says we're not assassins, and they look at each other, it's like, okay, now who are you guys going to assassinate? Because obviously you just gave that side glance to each other saying that you're not on the up and up with Dutch here. So, let's see here. McTiernan, or so yes, this little fun fact here. McTiernan had to talk to the studio into getting Carl Weathers as it was a budgetary concern. That is a direct quote from John McTiernan in the audio commentary of this film. And good to see you, Jack of all casuals. Always happy to see somebody paying attention and listening in. Make sure to smash that like while you're at it, folks. Share the stream out because obviously YouTube has not been allowing my, or Twitter has not been allowing my posts, letting people know that I'm going live. I'm just not, or I'm shadow banned. They aren't releasing my stuff. Even if I tag big people here and there, it's like nobody's freaking listening, you know? So yeah, thanks, Twitter. You're frigging a-holes. Ugh. Anyway. So also he's like, what do you mean we? And Dylan tells him, I'm going in with you, Dutch. General, my team always works alone. You know that. And he's like, I'm afraid we all got our orders, Major. And so we get the introduction to the team with a great song by Little Richard, Long Tall Sally. I mean, this movie just did all sorts of cool things back in the 80s. And it really does a wonderful job at setting up certain things. So we're fully introduced to the team. We got Blaine, Jesse Ventura, who's heavy weapons. We got Mac, Bill Duke, who is a great freaking actor from the 80s. And I've seen him in other movies. I believe the last major production that I saw him in personally was X3, X-Men United. Bill Duke, who plays Mac, is Traps and Tactics with heavy weapons. Poncho, Richard Chavez, he's the explosives expert. Hawkins, Shane Black, who went on to direct a very horrible Predator film called The Predator. I mean, there's some entertainment quality to it, but that story did not make sense. Shane, studio interference really fucked you on that one. So I'm guessing today's clues are Harvey Weinstein, Bill Clinton, and Jeffrey Epstein. Happy the odds, man. I always love it. I think they're black ops. Mercenaries are independent, but it looks like Dutch's group is under the general. Yeah, that's why there's a lot of the fandom wiki says that they're mercenaries. However, they do operate as if they are a unit, a spec ops unit. You know, I'm guessing Delta Force, in my opinion. or Black Ops even. So we also get, Shane Black is radio and communications. Billy, Sonny Landham, is the team tracker. He's good at picking up trails and investigative, or keeping an eye out for things and investigating scenes and whatnot. And I love how the scene is setting up the camaraderie. I mean, you got Hawkins' pussy joke where he's trying to get Billy to laugh, and it just falls flat. Billy's just looking at him like, what's the joke here? Because I'm not going to say the jokes because they are kind of inappropriate, but basically it's about big pussies. And Shane Black is just so freaking funny with these jokes. I mean, they work in this movie. I mean, if you tried telling these jokes nowadays, you'd probably be slapped by every woman in a room because of just how inappropriate they are. But you know what? That's what we need more in Hollywood. We can't just keep focusing on people's feelings if they get offended or anything. I mean, you got to go back to telling good stories and not caring if people get offended. If you do, or if Hollywood was to do that, they would actually get more respect from us nowadays. Me, I like the older movies now because the stuff that they're doing nowadays is just not interesting enough. Oh, Shane, you tell jokes like the left memes, not very fucking well. Yeah. I mean, so then we find out that there's no backup, and during the whole scene, you see Blaine is trying to hand people a little bit of chewing tobacco, and he leaves it back to Mac, and Mac's using a razor, and he's like, mm-mm. And he brings it over to Billy, and you just see Billy doing the slightest little wince to get it out of his face. You see, Poncho tells him to get that stinking shit out of his face. Bunch of slack-jaw faggots around here. This shit will turn you into a goddamn sexual tyrannosaurus, just like me. And and Poncho, yeah, strap this to your sorry ass, Blaine. Showing him or pointing his grenade launcher at him, and that actually gets a rise out of Billy, where he gets a laugh out of it. Now, Dutch and Dylan are the only serious ones paying attention to all of it, and then I love how Dylan's just staring down Blaine, and Blaine just spits some of the tobacco, guts on his boot. That's a real nasty habit you got there. It just works, you know? This is a good way of setting up how these characters are going to interact with each other. Now, in the book, I haven't read the novel, but I am aware of certain things from the novel, like how Mac was actually white in the book, and him and Blaine are racist, very much racist towards the natives of the area, as well as Dylan, the CIA liaison. They ain't gonna pull me. I was quoting the film. If they want to pull me for quoting a film, that just shows how stupid YouTube is. But anyway, so we get them dropping into the jungle now. Now, one of the cool things that I found out from John McTiernan's audio commentary is that inside of the chopper was practical, but when they opened up to the outside, that's blue screen. And when they showed the people dropping, those were performers who were dropping into the jungle. Those weren't the real guys, I do not think. Now, after they drop into the jungle, they find the down chopper pretty much very shortly after they drop in. Poncho reports back that it looks like a surveillance chopper. He's like, whoever hit it stripped the shit out of it, but there's something else. This isn't just any normal army taxi. This looks more like a surveillance bird to me. Now, something I noticed while watching this movie is that the audio seems to change in the middle of Poncho's dialogue, where it's saying, or he's saying it looks more, and then you hear the change. You can literally hear a visible change in the dialogue where he says, "A surveillance bird to me." It just, it really does, it really does pick up clearly when you're watching it in a quiet room, you know? And it looks like my internet's signal is giving me some shit, so let me check something here. Yep. Alrighty, so that's done, and my thing is back. So yeah, and Billy then comes up after Dylan asks for a report. He's like, "Pick up the trail yet?" Billy's on it. Heat seeker Dylan. That's pretty sophisticated stuff for a bunch of half-ass mountain boys. Well, I guess they're getting better equipped every day. So it's like, there's only so many lies you can tell in this, or that you could tell to Dutch, because he's kind of catching on that there's not a lot of trust and he doesn't trust you. I mean, he knows Dylan, but he knows Dylan is now a spook with a tie. He's no longer the guy that he once knew, you know? How you doing, Happy Dinosaur? Good to see you. Always a pleasure to have you on, or have you in here. And Billy reports that there were 12 guerrillas and they took 2 men from the chopper. But there's something else. 6 men with U.S. issued army boots came in from the north and followed the guerrillas. And when Dylan is asked about this, he's like, must be another rebel patrol. They patrol here all the time. It's a very unconvincing lie. But but Dutch doesn't make anything of it. So he tells Billy to go ahead and see what he could find. And while Billy is looking for this, or picking up this trail, he finds, or he rather smells something after he slices open the vine and he's trying to get some water from the vine. He then looks up, climbs up a tree, finds the skinned remains of the others, or of the or 3 skinned bodies. I'm getting bad audio input. Is my audio coming in, folks? Or is it coming in clearly? Just let me know. But yeah, okay, so it is coming in good now. Now, the scene that reveals the skinned bodies. Hey, lovely Sherry, it's always a pleasure to have you in my chat. Thank you so much for coming in, folks. For those who are in here, be sure to leave a like and subscribe and share the stream out. It always helps. Now, one of the things I do like that in the sound of when when Billy is climbing this tree, you actually hear the sound of the predator, the purring and clicking sound that he does. Now, I love the acting throughout this movie, but I also like because you see how suspicious Dutch is. You see how these people are acting when you see the skinned bodies. I mean, it's just wow. Now, Jim Hopper, or Mac picks up the remains with one of the knife, tosses the tags to Dutch, and he reads them. He's like, Jim Hopper. Matt cut him down. And he calls Dylan over. He's like, I knew these men. Green Berets out of Fort Bragg. Now, what the hell were they doing here? And it's just more lies piling up. I don't know, Dutch. This is inhuman. Nobody told me that there was an operation going on in this area. Well, somebody sent them. And I love the way that Schwarzenegger delivers that line, he's like, well, somebody sent them. And he's looking at Dylan as if Dylan knows more than what he's saying. However, Dutch can't really raise an issue with it right now. They have to remain on point. And you only see that there's 3 bodies. However, there were 6 men with U.S. issued Army boots. So Billy is looking or going over the scene, and he picks up some of the shells, and he's like, what happened here, Billy? Strange, Major. There was a firefight. They were shooting in all directions. I can't believe that Jim Hopper walked into an ambush. And he's like, I don't believe he did. I can't find a single track. What happened to the rest of Hopper's men? There's no signs. They never left here. Hell, it's just like they just disappeared. And I really love how Billy is able to discern all of this. And for some people, they will say that the writing doesn't make sense, but it also does show that this is the skill of a person who is skilled at tracking and is able to read the terrain, that speaks loudly to Billy Soul's skills. NB Geek, good to see you. How you doing? Make sure that you leave a like and share out the stream. It does help me a lot and whatnot. So they're picking up the gorilla trail, and I love how Bill Duke he gets away from the remains, and he's standing by Blaine, and he's like, that ain't no way for a soldier to die. And then when they start going, or before they move out, he's like, time to let old Painless out the bag. And Blaine turns to him, nods, opens up the bag. You see the minigun. He cocks the minigun by rotating the cylinders. Payback time. I mean, that old Painless, Jesse Ventura, is the first person to wield a minigun on film. And he even says that back in the 80s when he was doing the interviews. So, fun fact, and I'm going to have these fun facts sprinkled throughout. When Sonny Lanham was hired, this is coming straight from John McTiernan in the audio commentary. The insurance company insisted a bodyguard be hired, but not for Sonny, for everyone else. Apparently that Sonny was not easy to work with, and he had a propensity of getting into fights and whatnot. I believe that there was actually a scuffle reported in Mexico that he got into with somebody, but I cannot confirm that. Another fun fact is that Jesse Ventura was the first one to wield a minigun in a movie. Bill Duke being the second in this movie and also on film to shoot the minigun. And Arnold Schwarzenegger would later do it in Terminator 2, 4 years later on screen. Now, once we get to the 18 minute and 34 second mark is when you first see the Predator's thermal vision. Now, that something is watching Dutch's men. The distortions of the audio are great too. It lets you know that this is not something human. It's hearing things differently. Also, the absence of score in the Predator POV mode, that is something that was a very cool thing that the filmmakers did in this movie, because there's really no need to play the score when you have the thermal vision up. Exactly, a movie where 2 actors became governors, and one of them tried to become a senator. Well, one of the other actors tried to become a senator, but didn't work out for him. Director's commentary is either hit or miss. I love listening to director commentaries and audio commentaries on films because they give you all sorts of nuggets of information that I really appreciate having, so I could do more of these things and whatnot. I've always loved audio commentaries, even before I was a YouTuber. But listening to audio commentaries, you can learn such cool things behind the scenes. The movie does not have or doesn't have any animals that or yes, I will get to that. I will get to that, NB Geeks. I'm not going to highlight the comment, but I will get to that. When we get to that scene. So I do like how the first person to be suspicious of something is out there is actually Dutch. When Dutch is moving, he suddenly looks over like into the forest or the jungle, like he knows that something's out there, but he doesn't quite know what it is, or he just has this feeling that something's out there looking at him, and he quickly discards it. Now, does it make sense how the predator gets around so fast with multiple viewing angles at first without sound? No, it doesn't. So that is a objective flaw, but it's one that can be overlooked because of the horror quality that it brings. However, it will detract from the objective score. Now, Dylan's screw up while they're working around or while they're moving through, you see Dylan step on a log and or cause a lot of noise, and he stops and gets at the ready. But when he goes back, he sees Bill Duke Max there. He's like, "You're ghosting us, motherfucker. I don't care who you were back in the world. You give up our position one more time, I'll bleed you real quiet. Leave you here. Got that?" And he doesn't wait for Dylan to make a noise. The unit is suspicious of Dylan because Dylan is a CIA spook and he's not part of the unit. So him screwing up like that is not a good thing for them, So we then get to the compound. The chemistry between all the actors was just so good, like a well-oiled military machine. Yeah, and that's actually because John McTiernan had them do boot camp for 4 weeks, where they had to do marches through the jungle. They had to learn how to operate the weapons. They had to do all that stuff. To be fair, it's wise not to trust the CIA. Yeah. So then we get to the compound. Now, this scene or this shot where Arnold is going down or crawling down the leaf litter to that log actually pissed off the studio because apparently John McTiernan got a Steadicam crane to do that, and it was like 3 to 4 hours just to get that one shot. And it really pissed off Fox Studios when they were filming that because to get a crane and Steadicam shot, that's kind of expensive. Now, I believe this film had a budget, if I remember correctly, of 14 to 18 million. Now, if a movie like this was made today, you're talking into the areas of a couple $100 million. Now, we get Dutch looking at the facility, and you see one of the hostages get capped. Now, there are 2 hostages that they said, and pay attention to that for later after they just capped 1 hostage. So make sure that you pay attention to that. He's like, they just killed one of the hostages. We move. Billy or Mac Blaine, the nest, Billy Puncho, the guard. Once they're in position, I'll hit the fuel dump. So Dylan and Hawkins are staying back to survey. Now, there is a nest where you got people on a lookout, and I love how they're moving through, and Billy or Blaine stops with his hand like right here, and there's a wire like right here, that close, because there was a claymore set up. And so Bill or Mac and Blaine or Mac works the claymore, puts something into the trigger mechanism where the wire is to stop it from being pulled enough so that when Blaine cuts it, it won't blow. Sorry, I got something in my eye. Knock knock. Yeah, we'll get to that in a second too, because there's actually a story behind the knock knock thing. So you then also see Billy and Poncho are right behind one of the guards, or one of the guards that is out in the jungle a little bit. He's a perimeter guard, and you see them come up, boom, grab him out, and they're basically, what you don't see is that they're stabbing the dude enough to kill him out. And so they then let uh, Dutch go in, or make his move. He goes in, he tells people to wait, and then he puts up a freaking explosive charge in the truck and picks up the truck and improvises. And you see Blaine's like, what the fuck? I mean, it wasn't expected of what he does. Now, this whole battle scene is very well shot. Now, there are some sound problems, like the guy, when they blow up the chopper, you see a guy coming out or out of the chopper on fire, and you see him screaming, and it goes ah, and it just stops. Not because the guy died, but the audio just cuts out, or just fades out, and it's like, why? And that is something that I do notice as a reviewer. So I already did that fun fact. And I already did that fun fact. So and I do like how this entire scene shows how each of the unit works in combat. Blaine and Mac usually work together for the most part. You see Richard Chavez just blasting with the grenade launcher. He is their explosives expert. He does a very good job at it. You see Sonny Landham, Billy is able to do some sneaks here and there, and is very good at ambushing. And I love how Mac's running, and there's this guy shooting down at him with an AK, and he finds the cover. Get that mother! Now, one of the things you will notice that with the minigun, the M134 minigun, is that it doesn't, or each time it is shot, it doesn't fire for more than 5 seconds in the shot. They cut in less than 5 seconds, because after 5 seconds, they literally run out of all the rounds. Even when they slowed it down for the film, because it's too fast, it would have looked like it wasn't spinning at all when it was shooting. Yeah, they had to slow it down, and even then, 5 seconds, it's out. It's out of ammo. So they would have to reshoot. So is it practical? No. But it does work for the movie. That he has this humongous ammo battery pack, but that pack is emptied in 5 seconds if you do sustained fire. So 15 millimeter 1986 today, 40 millimeter, low budget by our movie standards today. Yeah. Now, there is, or near the end of it, there's the hostages are inside. Dylan says hostages are inside. Well, if you remember, one hostage was already confirmed dead, and there were only 2 hostages. So, yeah. You also see the stick around when he throws the knife into the guy, and the knock knock in this scene, to address Jack of all casuals here. These are things that McTiernan got from cartoons. They were just cartoon quips. Stick around, nice little pun. And knock knock, boom. 3 years ago, my son wanted to watch a movie. I said it has to be a movie that you have not seen. I choose Predator. My son loved it. At the end, my son said, "Run, bitch, it's a bomb." I gave him a high five. Nice. Run, bitch, it's a bomb. But yeah. Now we learn the real thing that's going on when he gets into that area, or when Dutch gets into the area, and he's now starting to learn what's the real thing going down, you know? And after the shootout is mainly done, not fully done, but mainly done, he has Hawkins he has Hawkins call in the situation and whatnot, and he has Poncho going after a couple of runners, and you find out that Mac, or after he knocks out Anna, who's about to shoot him, he knocks her out, and he's like, "Oh shit, Mac, is there any sign of the other hostage? Found the other guy. He's dead too, and the kid from the chopper. However, if he's CIA, I'm a goddamn China, or if he's a bureaucrat, I'm a goddamn Chinaman or something." And I really like that line. He's like, or it turns out our cabinet minister was CIA, and the other guys they waxed were Russian military advisors. Something pretty big was going to go down here. And he tells him, "Good work, Mac, or clean up this place, no traces." And we then see that Schwarzenegger is now fully sick and tired, or he realized that he was set up. He was set up to do dirty work, and he doesn't want to do dirty work. As he said, we're a rescue team, not assassins. So we then get the line, or Richard Chavez and Blaine, Poncho and Blaine, he's like, "Son of a bitch is dug in deeper than an Alabama tick. You're hit. You're bleeding, man. I ain't got time to bleed." I love that. He's like, "Oh, okay." Boom, boom, boom. You got time to duck? It's a shame Shane Black couldn't direct a good Predator. Son tells me that he could have if he had control over it, because they had done so many different rewrites, and his version was just completely out there. So yeah, in a way I can understand why he couldn't, but the rewrites really screwed up that movie. Plus, them spitting out the whole freaking plot in the movie while it's happening was just terrible. I mean, Olivia Munn is hot and all, but you don't, or how the hell does she know everything that is going on, you know? Doesn't make sense. So we then see Dylan comes in, and he's like, "Oh my god, this is beautiful. This goddamn jackpot. This is more than we ever thought we'd get." And Dutch, he's like, "Perhaps this is what you're looking for." And then he confronts him. He's like, "You set us up." He slams him up against the thing, or up against the wall. He's like, "Bullshit, all of us, or all of it. The cabinet minister, the whole business. You got us in here to do your dirty work." And Dylan tells him, "We just stopped a major invasion. In 2 weeks, they would have been across the border with this stuff. Why us? Because nobody could have pulled it off. You pissed about the cover story. I knew I couldn't get you in here without it." And he's like, "So what story did you hand to Hopper?" "Look, we've been looking for this place for months. My men were on that chopper when it got hit. Hopper's orders were to go in and get my men, and he disappeared. He didn't disappear. He was skinned alive. Well, then my orders were to get somebody who could crack these bastards." Now, I'm not going to give it to the same veracity that Carl Weathers and Arnold Schwarzenegger did, but those are brilliantly written lines, because it shows in the moment that these two are really at each other's throats. And he's like, "So you cooked up a story and dropped the 6 of us in a meat grinder. What happened to you, Dylan? You used to be somebody I could trust. I woke up. Why don't you? You're an asset, an expendable asset. And I used you to get the or the job done. Got it? Because when you're CIA, you learn that, well, you learn about the greater situation. Well, my men are not expendable, and I don't do this kind of work. Well, it doesn't matter because they've already stepped into some major shit, which uh, Hawkins is yelling to the Major about. He's like, Major, we just stepped into some real shit here. And Ariel says that the whole place is compromised. We got guerrillas coming in. This 10 or hour max, 2 hours. This place is going down. How long? Half hour, maybe less. Well, then we're gonna have to get out of here. See what we can get. You know. Now, Dylan takes Anna hostage, or the woman hostage. They haven't figured out her name yet, but I am going to call her Anna. And they are saying that the place is too hot for a pickup. So he asks Billy, he's like, Billy, find me a way out of this hole. The only way out is this valley that leads to the north or to the east. But I wouldn't risk that on a broke dick dog. Not much choice. Poncho, take lead, double time it. And he sees Dylan, he just doesn't want to deal with the shit, so he tosses a cigar. Now, one of the things you will notice in this movie is that Arnold Schwarzenegger, by this time in the movie, he's looking pretty heavy around the face. Later in the movie, you're going to see that he looks very drawn in the face. And that's because he got sick. But that comes later of how he got sick, which is actually kind of funny, from John McTiernan. Now, folks, I'm going to be drawing a lot from John McTiernan's audio commentary in this film for some behind-the-scenes funny stuff. It is really good stuff. So we then see the Predator is looking down on them. The Predator, or throughout the whole gun or firing or the whole combat scene, you don't see the Predator looking at anything until afterward. You see the Predator is looking down on them, listening to what they're doing. You see Anna is trying to yell at and berate Dylan, and Dylan's arguing with her in Spanish. Well, then Mac's like, Dylan, over here. And you see the over here. And then he's like, turn around. Why? And then he turns around, or you see him bring the knife down, and he swings around ready to shoot the guy, brings up the knife. There's a scorpion. Now, as NB Geek said, there is a fun fact. This movie cannot, I repeat, this movie cannot write a fun fact. Wanted to see Billy fight the Predator. That is a complaint that I also have. This movie cannot say that there were no animals harmed in this film, because you see that Mac brings down the scorpion under his boot and crushes that scorpion. And there's even a continuity error in that, because when you see him crush it, it's about to crawl away from him. But when he brings his boot up, it's facing him. So it's like, you guys kind of screwed that up a little bit. But they actually killed a real scorpion in the movie, and they sold the shot, you know? So they couldn't put at the end of the movie, no animals were harmed in the making of this film. I mean, you also see Sonny Landham kick a freaking vulture. So it's like, yeah, that kind of hurts, you know? So Hawkins tries a second pussy joke on Billy, and Billy finally gets a laugh out of it. But he also starts feeling that he's being watched by the Predator. He doesn't know what it is, but he does feel that he's being watched. And I also like how the Predator watches these scenes and then comes down to survey the battlefield, sharpening his audio recordings and looking at the scorpion, watching the heat, or watching it go from white to purple to black, listening to what he has heard. This is basically the Predator is getting him, or is learning about these people. These people have just, or this Predator has just observed these people wipe out this compound. Pretty or very well without losing a single person. Mission first, always. That's how life was for me for 20 years. Hate to say it, but that is a fact of mission accomplished. Yeah. Now, a fun fact about the thermal cameras or the thermal POVs for the Predator, they were shot with with a real thermal camera, and these things are huge and they're hot. But the problem was the ambient temperature in Mexico at the time was in the 90s. So the bodies of the actors were blended in with the jungle, so they had to find out a way to drop the temperature of the jungle. Well, in order to do that, they put the actors next to a fire and they literally dropped ice all throughout the jungle to drop the temperature of the jungle. And that is how they managed to get some of the shots. So, and it takes 2 weeks to get one or two of these shots with the thermal cams. In order to get the final shots for the movie, the director had to go to an effects house that did commercials in the area, and they had the thermal films or the thermal film shots turned into negatives. So that's a very nice little fun fact for you. And another fun fact is the very first shot of the film was shot in the movie after the Predator picks up the Scorpion. So them or leaving for the extraction point is literally the first shot of the film that was shot for the film. So as they are moving towards the extraction point, you see Anna is trying to escape, and freaking Pancho stops her and he's like, "No intentes." Well, maybe you should put her on a leash, Mr. Agent Man. They used liquid nitrogen to cool down the trees. Yes, they did. It was never stated. I got the impression Hopper's team are not active army and a type of mercenaries. It is actually stated of what they were. They were Green Berets out of Fort Bragg, according to Dutch. They were called in to locate Dillon's men, and three of them disappeared, and three of them were skinned alive. So we then see that because Dillon's still looking bad in front of these guys, he picks her up. Try it again, please. He's trying to keep some of his macho reputation, you know? It's just not working very well. And you even see it in Richard Chavez's expression. He's like, he's just shrugs it or laughs it off a little bit or smiles it off. So then we get to the scene of Billy in the clearing. Now, there is a funny thing that goes along with this, too. Folks, there's a common saying when you're down in Mexico, don't drink the water. And when you watch the special features in the digital library that I have of the Predator movie, you find out why you don't drink the water, because you will get so fucking sick. My brother, one time when he went down to Mexico, he got really sick because he drank the water. So the scene where Billy and Billy and Dutch are in the clearing, and he's like, "What's got Billy so spooked?" "Don't know, Major. He's been acting squirrely all morning. Damn nose of his." And he goes out and he's like, "Billy, what is it? What the hell is wrong with you?" And he's looking. There's something in those trees. Now, this scene, as soon as they called cut for the different shots, Sonny Landham and Arnold Schwarzenegger were running to the bathrooms because they had freaking diarrhea so bad because, well, they drank the water or they got real sick. Bill Duke talked about how he got so sick from taking a shower with the shitty water. Now, they were told 7 days after the water, or they were told 7 days after the problem was discovered, and this is why they all got sick, was because they were staying at the hotels, and they said the water's broken, but it had broken 7 days prior. So Bill Duke took a shower and got all this dirty water on him, and he ended up with the chills really bad, and he's just laying, or he talks about laying in bed with blankets because of how sick he got. Arnold Schwarzenegger had gotten so sick that he had lost weight, and that's why he looks drawn later on in the movie in certain scenes where his face literally looks like it's lost weight. I mean, all of these actors just got really freaking sick, I believe, except for Shane Black. But yeah, they all Montezuma's Revenge. That is something that they talk about, yeah. But it is just really bad from the stories that I hear. Now, as they're talking about this, or back to the movie, you see Anna get replaced, or Dylan goes down to talk to Mac and tasks Poncho to watch Anna. Well, Poncho's looks down, gives her a little grin, and she smiles up at him. And then but while she's at it, she has a big branch in her hand. And when he finally takes his eyes off her and looks over, she just cracks him in the face as the Predator's looking at all this stuff, or looking at Dutch and Billy. He's like, "You see it, Major? Right there ahead. Nothing. What do you think? I guess it's nothing, Major." So yeah, how you doing, Jacob Ironside? Good to see you. Takes do not drink the water to a new level. Yeah, dude. I mean, if I ever go down to Mexico, I'm bringing my own fucking water. And if anybody has a problem with me taking freaking bottled water, then I guess they're gonna have to apprehend me. It's like, I'm not drinking the water in Mexico. I was told not to. So we then get the pursuit scene with Anna running to try to get away again. And when you see Dutch go like this, you also hear a whistle that I guess he was supposed to be the one whistling. And Hawkins ends up chasing him because freaking Poncho got his face smacked with a damn log. And there's a lot of speculation. And there's a lot of speculation as to, well, Hawkins wasn't really that worthy of a prey, because this is one of the things that was brought up in my review for the Prey trailer. It's like they go after worthy prey. The bear, she doesn't seem to be, or I wouldn't consider her that worthy unless, or because a bear was about to kill her. And everybody's like, well, Hawkins wasn't worthy prey. He didn't even have his weapon drawn on the Predator when the Predator attacked. Wrong. First off, the Predator had just watched this entire team slaughter a compound. Yeah. So when people say that this kill was unworthy prey, no. Hawkins was armed, turned toward the Predator with his loaded weapon, and this Predator also had seen Hawkins and the rest of the team kill a bunch of people at the compound. He walked among the bodies and looked at the carnage. And so, yes, he has already established these are worthy prey. So when he kills Hawkins, that's a worthy kill. Now, something that a lot of people don't realize is that the later Lord establishes that a predator who hunts humans are known as blooded. When they are blooded, that means they are allowed by their elders to hunt humans. If you're not blooded, you can't hunt a human the only time you are allowed to kill a human when you are unblooded is in self-defense only. And they have to be worthy prey. They have to establish themselves as hunters or killers in order to be considered worthy. Anna isn't worthy. And That is why she was untouched. However, when she gets the blood splattered across her face and she's like, I'm like, damn. Now, the shot of the predator's arm going down like this to grab the foot, you see some extremely good detail of the translucence there. But when the look of the predator when he's dragging the body off is a red, or it's a red suit without dreadlocks, but a red suit of everything else that is shot against a black screen, and they input the data into the shot. So that is how they actually got the cloaked predator, which is, or for the scenes of the cloaked predator. It's a guy, or it's Kevin Peter Hall in a black suit, or in a big old red suit against a black screen so that they can do the shots. You actually see these in the special features. So the first person to get up to Anna is, or afterward, is Poncho. And one of the things I like continuity wise is that the side of his face that got smacked is now bleeding, because he got smacked in the face with a pretty wide branch about this thick. So that's about the size of, or a little smaller than the baseball width. And he gets in there, he's like, and he sees that she is just completely bloodied and she was crawling toward an area. So she looks, or he sees Hawkins' radio and weapon, and he continues moving through and he sees just entrails, bloody entrails. And he's like he's about to get sick. And everybody else gets up there. Lynn left, Mac right. What the? This isn't her blood. What the hell did you do to him? Major, I think you better take a look at this. Did you find Hawkins? I can't tell. The haunted look on Schwarzenegger's face is like, just the way he's like, you can't tell if it's Hawkins. What the fuck? So he looks at everybody and he goes and he's like, what in God's name? Where the hell is his body? There's no sign of it. Ask her what happened. And so when they ask her what happens, or John McTiernan actually admits that this is a fault of his, that he doesn't, or that he gets so caught up in his work, he doesn't work to translate anything in a foreign language. And it's like, I'd like to know what these guys are saying in Spanish, please. I wish they had actually gone back and actually added in the subtitles later on, like for 50th anniversary or whatever, they can add it in, or 40th anniversary, because I believe we're coming up, or in 2027 will be the 40th anniversary. I mean, 35th anniversary is this year for Predator. I believe it's actually up on the 45th. But yeah, they could they could still add in the damn subtitles. It's like, or so people who don't speak Spanish can understand what the hell they're saying, you know? I mean, he does translate it, but when you hear her say it here, and then you hear her say something, the same thing, or she says the same fucking thing later on, she's saying something obviously different. So that is another problem with the film. You don't understand, or you don't hear what she is saying specifically. I mean, if I had somebody who spoke fluent Spanish next to me, or I can actually get somebody say or understanding what she's saying, you know? I like the scene where you see the back of Dutch and you see the blood trickling. Yeah, we'll get to that. Now, this reminds me, hopefully the original Predator screenwriters can get their rights back. I believe that there was a lawsuit. And my audio, am I coming through clearly, everybody? Because I want to know in case, because I'm getting low signal here. How's my audio? Okay, it looks like it's coming in now. So he tells him the jungle, it just came alive and took him. Bullshit, that's not what she said. And Dylan and Poncho start arguing that the gorillas have been following them and whatnot. And Dylan's like, they've been in front of us, man. This woman is just trying to, and you see Dutch is looking at everything, sees the gun and the equipment, and he's like, hold it. Why didn't they take his radio or his weapon? Why didn't she escape? And that's when Dylan starts putting it together. Hopper. What? They did the same thing to Jim Hopper. I want Hawkins' body found. Double back. We're going, or move. We're not, or so you get that scene where we have an anaconda. This is the big snake that is brought in, where that leads up to what Jacob Ironstein says here. I love the shot of the anaconda in this film to let you know that there is life in the jungle, you know? And then you see the bloody leaves, then you go up and you see how it's more blood and blood, and then you see Hawkins hanging. And it's like, oh, damn. So then you see Blaine is moving through, and he hears the thing behind him. Come on in, you fuckers. Thumbs the trigger guard off of Old Painless. Come on in. Old Painless is waiting. Now, I still to this day do not know what that animal is. I still do not, to this day, know what that animal is. It looks like a skunk, but I don't know if it is or not. So if any of you in the chat, please let me know, what is that animal that Blaine sees just before he's killed? Because he sees it, and a lot of people are also wondering what the heck hit him just before he turns and gets killed. Well, I did some digging. It turns out that the predator literally throws an organ at one of Hawkins' organs at Blaine, and that's what hits him so hard that he's kind of like, what? It was the chupacabra. Shut up, man. But anyway, well, you know what? I'm actually going to pull it up. I'm actually going to try pulling it up. Animal did Blaine see before he died? Creature wasn't redesigned until after Blaine's death. What hit Blaine before his death? What did the predator throw at Blaine? Okay. Images. Let's see if they got it there. Well, that's not working either. All right. YouTube it is. We're going to check it out, folks, because I got it. I want to know. I got to know. Because it's going to drive me nuts till the day I die. Now, I already gave the fun fact on Old Painless. So, and Gonna mute it. Okay. Share the screen. I'm sorry, folks. I need to know what I want you guys to be a little more interactive too, but I gotta know what the hell this damn thing is. I don't need to share the audio for this tab. But yeah, folks, what is this damn thing? I mean, it looks like a skunk, but one can never really tell. I mean, yeah, what is it? You know? Does anybody know? Ugh. So, what is that animal? Is that a skunk? Ugh. Because this is driving me to drink. Anyway, that's what the animal looks like. No clue from Jack of all casuals. Can anybody else? Well, we're going to call it, I'm going to call it a jungle skunk because honestly, for my sanity, I don't know what it is. But anyway, moving on, after the predator smacks him with a freaking organ, but skunk is a good guess. Yeah, it looks like a skunk, but its hair's all matted and whatnot. And then we get the predator shooting its plasma caster at Blaine. Now, a lot of people are going to say, well, why would it shoot Blaine with or from or while his back is turned? Do you not know how people or how things hunt? There have been people who have confronted me on this stuff when I'm talking about predator lore and whatnot. They're like, well, it killed Blaine while his back was turned. He had a fucking minigun that was ripping people to shreds. So yeah, take out a big beast from the back, and it kills him. And then you see Mac see him go down. Now Mac and Billy, or Mac and Blaine, are best friends, man. They're like, or there was that scene earlier that I didn't cover where they're talking about how this jungle is different from everything else. It's like, and Blaine tells him, makes Cambodia look like Kansas. You lose it here, you're in a world of hurt. And they're having a drink together. Well, now that Mac just saw his buddy go down, and he then sees the predator, and the predator flashes his eyes at him. 1,000 bullets in less than 3 seconds. Of course, that shit is gonna hurt. Yeah, and I just love how Mac just loses it. Sergeant! And he just starts ripping his belt-fed freaking machine gun at the predator, and the predator starts running, but he still got tagged because you see his blood on the leaf, and then you see Mac has his hat on, and I don't know why, I just laugh so hard when he drops his own weapon. He just pulls his hat off and then picks up the minigun and just starts spraying, man. And everybody else is reacting to this, and they come in and they start shooting. And McTiernan's reasoning for this whole shot was because he wanted to show them firing off all their weapons, but not killing anybody. Because the studio didn't want to promote violence or some bullshit. It's like, what? I mean, this is from his audio commentary. And I love how he's just still screaming while he's firing this weapon. Everybody else is reloading and just continuing to fire and whatnot, launching all their explosives and everything. It's like, oof. So when they finally stop and you see Mac just still railing the minigun, even though it's empty. Good morning, almost afternoon, bro. How's your day? It's going good, Kamen Rider. Good to see you. And he's just still in anguish as he's pulling the trigger, and then he stops, and then they cuts to everybody just opening around. He's like, whoa. And then you see how much freaking jungle they just leveled, and it's like, well, there's your daily deforestation. And he's asking, he's like, I saw it. You saw what? I saw it. And then everybody else checks, and they look over Blaine, no powder wounds, no shrapnel. The wounds all fused and cauterized. What the hell could have done this to a man, I'm reviewing The Predator, Kamen Rider. And so he's like, Mac, look at me. Who did this? I don't know, goddammit. I saw something. I mean, what else can you freaking say it was? It's like the jungle just came alive and took him. And then Poncho comes in. Not a wound, not a fucking trace. No blood, no bodies. We hit nothing. And it tells you, it's like, oh my God. So it's like, you better get on the radio, or Dylan, you better get on the radio, tell him what's happening. Mac doesn't review. Sergeant, yes, sir. I want a defensive position up on that ridge, mined with everything you got. And put him in his Poncho, we'll take him with us. So the next scene is Mac is setting up his defensive position, mining it with, or he sets it up with tripwires, flares, frags, and claymores. Nothing's getting through this area without tripping on something. And he's like, very good, Sergeant. Mac, he was a good soldier. He was my friend. And you get that nice little military horn piece that they have, and you really feel for it when he's saying goodbye to his friend. He's like, goodbye, or he takes his final drink with his friend and then sets the drink on his friend's chest, and he's like, goodbye, bro. And before they started moving away from the area where they shot up the jungle, Anne grabs the blood on the leaf and then rubs it on her pants, and then you see the glowing on her pants. Now, if you're in the jungle, it is so humid in there that blood will not dry on your clothes. So we then get the Predator's first aid kit scene. And this kit is actually a veterinary kit for animals. So it looks alien enough, but it also looks a little bit familiar too. Now, the Predator gets up into a tree trunk. He's tending to his leg, and he pulls out a few rounds, shoots himself up, grabs something to kind of put pressure into the wound, but it kind of gets locked into his leg and he screams out. And Dylan's on the radio, extraction necessary. You are too far in so far, or right now. Or your request for extraction is denied. Make for this position. Next contact 0930 hours. Roger Blazer 10:30 hours. They said 9:30, dude. 0930. Oops. Damn bastards. They said we're too far in and they can't come in and get us. We're assets, Dylan. Expendable assets. It comes with the job. I can handle it. Bullshit. You're just like the rest of us. Well, they're all kind of strung up right now, and Poncho's obviously pissed off too. He's like, "God's a chopper going to do us in here anyhow?" And he then looks at Billy and he's like, "Billy, you know something." Or, no, wait. Before that, Matt comes in and sits down, and Dylan he's like, "Sergeant, what hit us today?" "I don't know. I just saw one of them camouflaged. He was there, and those eyes disappeared." "What was that?" "Their eyes, they disappeared." "I'll tell you one thing, Major. I drew down, fired straight at it, capped off 3,000 rounds with the minigun, full pack. Nothing could have survived at that, or nothing living or on this earth could have survived, not at that range." And so he tells him, "You get first watch and then get some rest." So then Dylan's like, "Ask her again what she saw. Ask her what happened to Hawkins." So he asks her again, and she says the same fucking thing. The jungle, it came alive and took him. And so Poncho's like, "Billy, you know something. What is it?" Because Billy's been silent this whole time, looking off into nowhere. "I'm scared, Poncho." "Bullshit. You ain't afraid of no man. There's something out there waiting for us, and it ain't no man." So then he gets up, weapon at the ready, looks down at him. "We're all gonna die." And I'm like, epic fucking line. That entire performance there, when Sonny Landham is delivering those lines, it's like, there's something out there waiting for us, and it ain't no man. You just, he knows what it is without knowing what it is. He knows that it is something not of this earth. You know? He knows that it is something that will kill them, that is more powerful than that unit. And so Dylan's like, he's losing it. He's losing his cool. It's just a couple of guys out there messing with us. We got to take him out. Well, Dutch knows his men, and he knows his men are competent. He's like, "You still don't get it, do you, Dylan? Whatever it is out there killed Hopper, and now it wants us." It really is that simple. And when he says whatever it is out there, he doesn't know whether to believe Billy or not, but he is going to give Billy the benefit of the doubt. And that is something that speaks to the camaraderie and the trust of his team. He knows that Billy isn't bullshitting. He knows that there's something out there because Billy's never led them astray. And you understand this. This is just a deep-seated understanding that you understand this simply by the camaraderie of the characters. That Billy has never really led them astray. If he's reacting to something, that means something's out there, you know? This is something that people used to be able to do with movies nowadays instead of having to have everything explained to them explicitly. You can draw conclusions from what you're seeing pretty accurately. Nowadays, everything has to be frickin' explained to people. And that just goes to show how quality in movies have dropped so poorly. Now, you made a post, I think, about the Prey girl and Predator Billy are related. May or may not, but it if he is part of the same tribe, then he would know the story, in my opinion. That is, or yes, that is a video I did the other day that has actually not gotten a lot of attention, unfortunately. Put a lot of effort into that video and research into that video, and it's less than 5 minutes, and it's one of my lowest viewed videos. It really is kind of depressing. Also, it was one of the biggest clues that I was going to be talking about a Predator movie. Same thing. Anyway, so we get to the number 10 tonight, bro, scene. And Mac is talking to the moon, talking to Blaine. He's like, 32 man chopped into me. We walk out, just you and me, right on top of him. Not a scratch, not a fucking scratch. You know whoever got you. He'll come back again, and when he does, I'm gonna cut your name right into him. I'm gonna cut your name into him. Mac is just out for blood at this point. He's losing track of his team. He's out for blood because his best friend has just been killed. So he hears that little twig snap behind him, and he's getting ready. And then a flare goes off. And then you hear this pig jump it, or you see this mass and this pig jump in at Billy or at Mac, and Mac catches it. And then you see the cycle scene where where he has his knife out, and he's screaming. He's like, "Got you, you motherfucker! Got you!" And he's stabbing it. And I love how they're cutting it with the slow stabbing motions of the knife. You also see blood spurting out with the knife as he pulls it out. You hear the noise. Everybody's looking for Mac and the whatnot, and it's like, "Mac, where are you, Mac? Mac, where are you, man? Where are you?" And then they finally get up to it, and you hear this bellowing of the pig. And he's like, "I got you, you motherfucker. I killed you. You fuck." And then it's like, "Jesus, you killed a pig." Now, if you look at that pig, it doesn't look like a real pig. It's not a real pig either. And it's like, what do you think you could have found something bigger? Yeah, fuck you, Poncho. Fuck you. And Billy's laughing in the background. It's like, dude, all that freaking bravado, you just fucking slaughtered a pig. And I love it. I found the animal. It's a Mexican hairy dwarf porcupine. Thank you. Thank you so much, Jacob Ironside. Fuck. Dude, you have just made this man a very happy man that can die happy now. Later on in his life. I'm going to have me some fun. His brother wants revenge. He wants blood. Yeah, exactly. And then they're like, "Well, where's the girl?" Shit. Why wasn't anybody watching her? But she's still there, and they notice she's scared out of her mind. And they're like, "Why didn't she try to get away? Look at her. She's scared out of her mind." And then Blaine's body, it's gone. Came in through the trip wires and stole it outright from under our noses. Well, then the next day, they're surveying the scene, and Billy's like, "That boar must have tripped a flare major." And during the whole commotion, that's when it came, or the other thing, or because there ain't no other tracks. And Poncho's asking the right questions, like, "But how could it have gotten in here and taken Blaine without one of us knowing? And why didn't it try to kill one of us?" And Dutch then makes the connection. It came in to get the body. It's killing us one at a time. And then he looks up. It's using the trees. There you go. Exactly. The predator just wanted his trophy. And so he decides enough is enough. He goes up and asks her yesterday, "What did you see? You're wasting your time. No more games. Well, she starts speaking English. I don't know what it was. Go on. It changed colors like the chameleon. It uses the jungle. You're saying that Blaine and Hawkins were killed by a fucking lizard? That's a bullshit psych job. There's 2 or 3 men out there at the most. Fucking lizard. I mean, Dylan doesn't want to believe in any of this shit. What's your name? Anna. Anna, this thing is hunting us. All of us. Now, if you paid close attention to Arnold Schwarzenegger in the scene where he's talking with Anna, you see how drawn he is. And that's because in the last few days he's been shitting his guts out because of he ate at a restaurant that wasn't cleared by the production. And he also ended up getting diarrhea so bad that he was so dehydrated. There were scenes that were shot where he had an IV in his arm that wasn't shown because he was so dehydrated and they were giving him fluids while he was freaking filming. That's how crazy that this production has gotten. Now, there's also a funny story in the middle of the production where Stan Lee did a practical joke. Or not Stan Lee, but Stan Winston, because he's the guy that was responsible for the design of the Predator. Now, Stan Winston was in his hotel room, and he went to go take a shower, and there were a bunch of bullfrogs in his shower. So he's like, he figured that Arnold had played a trick on him. Now, so he had all of his men from his studio come in, help him fill up a pillowcase full of the bullfrogs, and he knew that he was so sure that Arnold Schwarzenegger had played a joke on him, and so he put the frogs in Arnold Schwarzenegger's bed just under the sheets. And the next day, they were both driving to the set, didn't even look at each other, didn't even say each other. And then 10 years later, he talks about it in an interview on TV. And how he believed that Arnold had played a practical joke with the frogs. Well, then Arnold was on TV the next night talking about it. And then he goes to Stan Winston. He's like, Stan, I didn't do that. That wasn't me. And it was only after that Stan Winston realized his own people who he trusted and dearly trusted played the joke on him. His own crew members from his studio put the bullfrogs in his shower. And I'm like, oh my God, that is such a funny story that I just had to put it on the stream, you know? And God bless Stan Winston. He is sorely missed. Movies or Monster Effects Studios just are not the same without Stan Winston. Honestly, he is truly missed. So, also, no, I already covered that. And I already covered that a lot of people had gotten sick. Now, we get to the famous line where after he cuts her loose, he's like, or Dylan's like, what are you doing? We're going to need everyone. I'm taking her back. We're out of here in 5 minutes. Or Dylan, we're not leaving yet. The rendezvous is 10 to 12 miles here. Do you think the chopper's going to wait? Dylan, we make her stand now, or there's not going to be anyone left to go to the chopper. And so she chimes in. There's something else. When the big man was killed, you must have wounded it. Its blood was on the leaves. If it bleeds, we can kill it. I had to go to the ER earlier, or this year. I was dehydrated, or so dehydrated that I was sent upstairs and they put 6 IVs in me over 2 days. I have no clue how it happened, but it did. Yikes. And then you put in the edit, or Billy was really the smartest one in the movie. he just understands what is going on. He's an expert tracker and knows land and tracking. That was his expertise. Yeah. So then we get this scene where everybody's working together. And Dylan's like, he's like, you really think this bullshit Boy Scout or this Boy Scout bullshit's gonna work? It can see all of our tripwires. Perhaps it can't see this. Instead of complaining, maybe you should help. And then you see just how cut Carl Weathers was in this movie. And I gotta say, man, he was jacked. They're all pulling up the trees and setting their traps and whatnot. And then they all get down, and it's like, what makes you think he's going to come in through here? There are tripwires on every tree for 50 yards. This is the only way in. And then you see Mac with his damn razor again. And you hear, and freaking Dylan's looking over at Mac because he's running the razor up and now or down his each cheek, and then he stops. And then as he's slowly quivering, you see blood start to pool up above it, and then the razor just snaps, and he looks down, and then he looks over at Dylan, and Dylan's like, "What the fuck is wrong with this man?" And then they hear a little bit of birds above them, but also Anna starts talking where there were people, or in the hottest years, this happens, and that people were killed, and that they were, or the women in the villages would cross themselves and whisper strange things. And only in the hottest years this happens, and this year it grows hot. And then she says the translation, I can't remember what it was, and it means the demon that makes trophies of man. And then you hear the disturbance up above them, and they all are perked up, but then they go back down. What are you going to try next? Cheese? Well, Dutch gets out to be live bait, and he's walking behind, or there's no. Now, I wish that they actually would have put the Predator cloaked in behind him, but it really does work or if you think about it, it works the way it's supposed to, where they aren't seeing it. And when he almost trips a tripwire, they're all looking, and then he's trying to figure out what it is. Then they put their guns down. He turns around, well, sling! The freaking trap springs, and you hear the Predator screeching, and everybody's like, shit! And they're trying to see what the heck it is. Well, it's not going to give them any time to see that, so it starts using its plasma caster, blasting away the area around. And it hits one of the trees that is connected to a bunch of vines, and Poncho gets smashed by the tree, and then you see the Predator jumping away. Mac is trying to shoot it, and the Predator swings around the tree and uncloaks for a couple seconds so that while it looks at him, to show them just what it is. And then it cloaks again, and Dylan's like, what the? And Mac is just full gung-ho. I got you, you mother. I got you. And then he's like, I'm coming. Well, Dutch is like, Mac, get Ramirez on his feet and get to the chopper. Right. Hold it, Dutch. I'm going after Mac. It's not your style, Dylan. Guess I picked up a few bad habits from you and your men. Now get the hell out of here. You can't win this, Dylan. Well, maybe I can get even. That is a brilliant line there, too, man. And so he tosses him another gun, and he's like, just hold on to that damn chopper. So they see that Poncho's busted up pretty bad. They got his ribs wrapped, and it's like, grab the radio, forget the rest. We're getting out of here, man. So they're on their way, and freaking Max just going after the Predator, realizing he's bogged down by too much stuff, starts singing Long Tall Sally, and then he's hiding, and then Dylan's in there. He's like, turn around, over here, out there past the trees. See it? And then you see the predators looking out over by the trees, looking out at the jungle to see if it can spot anything. And they come up with a plan. I got a score to settle. We both got scores to settle. So then Mac tries going under some root system and gets caught. You see the 3 laser on his arm travel up to his head, and he gets his head popped like a melon. Or rather, a hole just blasted through it. And then you see the laser of the predator looking down, and then it walks off, and you now know that he's dead. Well, everybody else is moving through, and Anna's grabbing the weapon to help them get up. And it's like, lemon armor. What? Give me the weapon! And I just love how Dutch is unable to understand Spanish. It's like, hey, man, you're not the only one, you know? I mean, now I'm pretty sure he's freaking fluent in it because most of California has a high Hispanic community. But anyway, I love how they cut in between, and then Dylan sees that Mac is dead, but then hears or turn around or something, and then I love how it's going this way, then it goes this way, and if you pay close attention as the camera's panning to the from left to right, you actually see that the predator's standing there, and then when he goes to look back, it zooms in closer to the predator where you can actually see the outline even clearer, and then you see the eyes flash, and Dylan raises his weapon. So he then, or as he's raising the weapon, targeting laser goes on, and he gets his arm blasted off. And I love the shot where his arm just falls and it's still shooting while he's screaming. And then he looks and he sees the predator's already in motion after he shot him. And you see that its blades are uncloaked. So he pulls the other gun, tries to go shoot, and boom, skewers him, and now Dylan's dead. So then they're going over the tree bridge, and Billy drops the radio off the tree trunk, tosses his weapon, and Dutch is like, Billy, let's go. Billy's just taking off his stuff, pulls the medicine bag, wraps it around, and Dutch realizes Billy's not going to come, or not coming. So he continues going. Now, there's also the scene where Anna drops, or one of them drops a weapon, and Anna goes to pick it up, and he's like, leave it. It didn't hurt you because you weren't armed. It's no sport. So there's that. So then, something smells good downstairs. But anyway, Billy then pulls out his knife and sets a cut right down his chest. And then this is the biggest gripe that a lot of people have. You don't see the predator kill Billy. You just see it coming up under the trunk, or its POV coming up under the trunk, and Billy's looking at something, and then they're still running, and then you hear Billy scream, and they turn around immediately. Well, if the thing had just killed Billy then, and they're looking at, and not like 5 to 10 seconds later, the predator is right there, blasts Poncho in the head, killing him, and she sees the gun, or Anna sees the gun. He's like, no, kicks the gun out of her hand and starts blasting the trunk where the predator is, and then Dutch gets blasted in the arm. And we get the very funny line, run, go, get to the chopper. I remember being at a baseball game, folks. This is funny, so just bear with me. And one of the guys stole a base. And they managed to get there really quick. And they played that very line. Run! Go! Get to the chopper! Everybody in the freaking baseball stand lit up laughing, man. Skull, spine ripped out. Well, that's after he's dead that he gets a spine ripped out. Or Scorpion Fatality is a homage to the Predator skull ripping. Oh, nice. That's pretty interesting to hear. So, now, into the chopper. Then we get to the chase after Billy is dead. And you see that the Predator is first a bit or quite a ways away from him, watching him run, and then right behind him. It's confusing, yes, but there was a hint that there was more than one Predator there. However, that idea was abandoned in the movie. So the Predator is just able to get right behind him really quick, I guess. And him sliding off the mountain into the water, the way that they did that was he was rigged up to a nice little slide track. And you see in the outtakes that there's 3 takes of it. And they use the final one for the movie, but he's enjoying himself as he's getting slid down. And then we see that he goes off into the water, goes off fall, and then gets over into the mud. And when he gets mudded up and the Predator drops in, he gets into the tree root system, and he thinks he's dead because this thing's coming for him. And the Predator comes out and looks right at him. Now, one of the cool things about this is you can see the Predator, or in the Predator POV, you can actually see Dutch's outline where he is against the things like this, where you can actually see him standing there like this, holding on to the root systems. And the Predator doesn't notice it, doesn't notice a human shape there. But when it does see a heat signature, it uses it, or we see the first targeting of the targeting laser. The and the triangular sighting. And it's adjusting its height, and it shoots, and you see this little muskrat thingy run out of the log that it just shot. Well, then it's looking around, decides, okay, he's not here, time to get the hell out. Or go back to the trophy and tend to my trophies and whatnot. So this is where Arnold has his epiphany. It couldn't see me. So, there we go. Now, a fun fact about this is the Predator original design was more insectile. Now, the person that they had in the insectile Predator suit for the cloaked version was Jean-Claude Van Damme. Jean-Claude Van Damme was originally in a Predator movie until they redesigned the Predator from a more insectile to a more humanoid with the mandible kind of thing. Then they had Kevin Peter Hall become the Predator. Now, Kevin Peter Hall as the Predator, now that his character has been fully revealed and whatnot, you see, or you watch the tribute to him, that he is a 7 foot, like 3-inch guy, the nicest guy you will ever know. You literally feel that there is nothing, or that every experience that they all had with him was good. And Bill Duke talks about how he was a ballet dancer as well as a martial artist, and how he could bend and move in all sorts of ways. He never complained once about the way the suit was uncomfortable, even though it was, he did a professional job. Unfortunately, Kevin Peter Hall passed away in the 90s. If I can actually pull it up here. Yep. Hold on. The fun fact, yes, that was the Jean-Claude Van Damme thing. Already covered that. Now, Kevin Peter Hall, the actor who played, yes. Now, no one ever spoke ill of him either. And unfortunately, he died in 1991 after the filming of Predator 2 because he also played the Predator in that film, just a month short of his 36th birthday. He contracted AIDS from a blood transfusion after a car accident. This was during the AIDS pandemic back in the 80s and 90s, where people were donating blood, yet they didn't know that they had AIDS. So a lot of blood bags were destroyed because AIDS had gotten into the blood supply. And he had AIDS-related pneumonia, and that is actually what killed him, unfortunately. I mean, 35 years or almost 36 years old and passed away, man. That is seriously sucks. Now, also a fun fact about the Predator's clicking noises. The sound that he makes is done by none other by the Transformers voice actor Peter Cullen. And he was asked to come down to 20th Century Fox Studios to do a noise for the Predator. Well, he had to see the Predator first. And they're like, well, we can't show it to you. Well, then what the hell am I doing here? So they go up, they show him a thing. He's like, well, that doesn't work. And I can't see what the thing is. Okay, well, then he makes the noise, or he sees what the Predator looks like. The redesigned one with the mandibles. He's like, this thing was so fucking ugly. And it reminded me from when I was a kid of an old horseshoe crab dying upside down on the shore of a beach that was nearby my home. And he remembered all the sorts of different clicking noises that it made. And that is literally the inspiration behind the clicking noises that he came up with for the Predator. So Optimus Prime is the voice or the clicking voice for the Predator in Predator 87. So that's a nice little nugget of information. Optimus Prime provided voice for the Predator. So now we get to the preparations of the final battle, where after Dutch is surveying the trunk, looking around, and I absolutely love this scene where Dutch is preparing a man-made bow. He grabs it and he's bending it downward, stringing it up, and then he's covering himself in mud, testing the bow or the arrows that he made, creating an explosive tipped arrow and whatnot. And it's also intercut with the Predator going over his trophies. And when he uncovers the skulls, you see one skull with a hole in its head. You automatically know that that's Mac that he killed from earlier, Bill Duke's character. I really love how these scenes are shot because it shows that these are two people that are, or the Predator is languishing, enjoying himself, but he also pulls Billy's spine out with the skull and creates a trophy out of that too. And as Arnold Schwarzenegger's creating his trap area for the Predator, I love after he finishes, he lights up a humongous torch and just gives the most Tarzan primal yell that, oh my gosh, man. Yeah. Remember on Prime Day, the Optimus Prime died for your sins. Yeah, I know. So I love that scream. It was added in post, but it really was done well. And the predator then looks out. It's like, okay, I'm being called out. So then it uses its targeting laser to heat up its its claw blades. And then he starts moving into position. You see the predator drop onto a tree branch and drop down. And I love how in the middle of or in the midair, the the predator cloaks itself seemingly. And that is just a really good shot, and it's a really good digital effect shot too. It just works. And then you see him just looking out there, right blended up next to the tree, and then the predator just starts coming down. And it can't see him because the the mud is blocking his thermal signature. And then when he swings over to another tree while the predator's crawling down, the predator stops and starts looking over, but he's already at the tree. And when he's holding it, you can actually see him holding the tree in the thermal shot. But because he's blending in with the rest, the predator makes nothing of it. Now, the swing was actually a test for Dutch to see if he can actually still remain hidden from the predator, if the predator won't pick up on him moving. Now, this further confirms that the mud is actually working. Now the trap works and the predator goes up to where Dutch wants him to, and he uses his bow with the explosive tip to injure the predator. And the predator's cloaking device is now compromised. And I love how he starts blindly firing into the woods because he knows that something is out there, that something just hurt him, and he's pissed off now. So he just starts blindly firing, and the explosions of sparks are pretty cool, man. It's like 4th of July in Guatemala. And so we then see Dutch fall out of the tree because he's getting shot at and it's getting closer to him. And so he gets away from it and spits some blood out and then looks back. The predator's turning off his cloaking mechanism because he's sparking out. And then Dutch is starting to move away, but he moves a branch and the predator immediately picks up. It's like, there you are. I'm going to find you over there. So you see the predator jumping all over. And then he gets over to him while Dutch is crossing a little log, and the predator lands in front of him, and he's like, and when the predator looks at where he would be, well, he's not realizing, there you are, I'm going to kill you. No. He starts walking, and then you see the Dutch is actually underneath the log that he was just walking over, which is a great scene because it's like, okay, so now what are we going to do? Well, the predator walks off, and Dutch goes to get his weapons, his spear that has his knife blade, and an explosive tip spear from one of his grenade shells. And he can't find where the predator is. So he decides to use some bait. He grabs a stone, throws the stone, and the predator targets the stone, shooting after it. Well, now he knows where the predator is. But somehow the predator knows exactly where that stone came from. So it pans over to just where, or close to where Dutch is, and shoots again, nearly hitting Dutch. He does a swing, throws his explosive spear, causing further damage to the predator. And you see the predator is like, oh, shit. And then he goes up with the spear with the knife, and he sees the green blood. Bleed, you bastard. And the predator sets a trap for him. So when Dutch realizes he's been cornered, he has to get away. He uses his last little diversionary tactic, which is a small flashbang, so to speak, or a flash grenade. Not a flash bang, but a flash grenade that he can use to get out of the area where he was cornered by the Predator. And the Predator tries blasting him, but misses him, and he ends up falling into some water after trying to grab a branch, but the branch breaks and he falls into the water. Mud's gone, and he gets over there. Now, I love how when the Predator uses his gauntlet to pin Schwarzenegger, the blades fold outward like this and then down so that they fit around Dutch's neck so they don't kill him, you know? And then so he's like, that's basically the Predator saying, there you are. I'm going to kill you now. Pulls his thing up, throws him up against the rock face, and you get the face-to-face with the Predator. Now, when the Predator tips or turns his face to the side, he's looking at the blue mark on his cheek and the black mark on his nose. And he's realizing, so that is what you did. You are a worthy prey. I'm going to give you a chance now. And so he lets him down. He walks, he looks over. He pulls two things out, unhooks the plasma caster, turns two knobs to loosen up his mask, pulls the mask off, and we get the famous line, "You're one ugly motherfucker." And you get the Predator roar, the iconic Predator roar. Now, a lot of people notice that the Predator mimics a lot of different noises. You hear the bellowing of the boar that Mac kills inside of this Predator roar. He's mimicking a boar in essence. He uses mimicry to attract prey and whatnot and such. And he'll even use mimicry later just before he dies. So we get the fight starts, and he's heading straight towards Dutch, and Dutch grabs a branch, swings it around, boom, right against the arm. Bad idea. Whack. I love the smack that he hit. He just, bam, slowly does it, and we get the fight, man. He actually takes a swing at the Predator. That line was also referenced in Mortal Kombat X. Exactly. And he hits him, and so he actually backhands the Predator, and the Predator's like, pow! And then just starts smacking the shit out of him. And they go to the thermal viewing because they want to show you the main Predator, or the Predator's real infrared vision. Now, this fight is so brutal that they kept most of it in the or that they suggest it is so brutal that they keep it in most of the thermal visuals. That when this Predator is literally beating the shit out of Arnold Schwarzenegger. And as he's trying to get away from the Predator, you see that the Predator's also swinging at him and busting trees while he's doing it. And when he's getting hit, you also see a repeated shot of the Predator roar as he's getting beat, and then he swings again, and you see Arnold's face turn with a bunch of blood just gushing off of him. And then you see him thrown again, and he's crawling up, and the Predator just runs up. You see his face is just bloodied, and then he crawls down into the last area where his final trap is. And I like how they zoom in on the trip stick, and then on the sharpened parts that could stab down into the Predator's head. And the Predator brings its blades out and looks down, and it's like, all right, now where are you gonna go? And then it realizes, or he's like, come on, do it. And the Predator's like, all right. Wait, what's this? and it realizes, this is on. And it's like, okay, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to go around and kill you there. And you actually hear after Arnie's like, come on, kill me, do it now, kill me. Well, after it decides not to and it starts to go around, you actually hear him say, oh no. So then you see the Predator jump down on the other and he's like, you son of a bitch. That look that he's, it's just basically saying, you son of a bitch. Well, then he realizes, oh wait, there's the trunk upstairs. Boom, kicks the trunk out, and it's like, clunk. And we feel that the Predator might be dead. And Dutch is given a moment to rest, but then the trunk starts moving. So he grabs a rock and he's ready to kill it and whatnot. And he sees that the Predator is grievously injured, coughing up blood into his eye and whatnot. And then he asks, what the hell are you? And it says the same thing, what the hell are you? And I love how you don't have to be told what he's doing. When he opens up the clapperboard on or the wrist gauntlet and starts typing in the commands and you see the things flashing, you just know that it's a bomb. It didn't have to be explained. It didn't have to be told to you. You just knew it wasn't good. And you assumed, okay, maybe the sucker's going to blow up. And then when it starts laughing, it starts mimicking Billy's laugh from when Billy was laughing at the joke that Hawkins told him. Everybody's like, God, it went from an alien laugh to a freaking Billy laugh to a mad scientist cackle. And it does kind of go into a mad scientist cackle. And I love how it shows the neutrons and whatnot forming, raising just before and converging just before it blows up. That is a great shot. And people get to wonder, how the hell did he survive? Even though he jumped out of and jumped behind something and got some good cover, how the hell did he survive? That is basically a freaking nuclear explosion. And you even see General Armstrong and the chopper people, and even the chopper pilot, who's played by Kevin Peter Hall, the one that says, what the fuck? And you see the mushroom cloud, which is a matte painting, pure and simple. And they're like, my God. So they go and check it out, and well, there's Dutch. Hey, Chris, good to see you. How you doing? And let me just take a small drink. And get to the last bit here. Now, the thing about the bomb is, or the inspiration of the self-destruct came from from John McTiernan, the director. He had a dream about outrunning an atom bomb, which inspired the sequence of Dutch running from the bomb. So that's the last fun fact of this movie. And so General Phillips and Anna are choppering out Dutch. And I love how Dutch doesn't look at any of them. He's just looking off into space. And then he looks out amongst the rubble. Basically, this man has been through shit. He has been through shit. He lost all of his men, his best friend Dylan, his entire unit, fighting this thing. Nobody's going to believe him. They're all going to think he's a fucking wacko because he fought an alien. And it's not really, or it's found out in the comics what becomes of Dutch, or his or how his brother comes across a predator in a city. But anyway, that is the movie. So getting to the objective score. Now, there are problems with this film. Continuity issues, a few pacing problems, and some cinematography problems, because how is the predator here than there with, or like 5 seconds later? It does raise some issues. So objectively, I rate Predator out of 10 without bias a 7.5 out of 10. This movie is good. The story is written fucking brilliantly. The director, McTiernan, he is very competent. The acting was very well done. The cast was perfect for this movie, in my opinion. It's just that some things, or there were some continuity errors and some timing errors as well. And those do tend to hurt it. Plus, the Predator effects are a little dated, but they still do work for the purpose of the movie. I just wish that they could go back and kind of redo the cloaked Predator scenes, add the inconsistency between a few Predator shots where he's cloaked, where you see the dreads, and then where you don't see the dreads, you know? I wish that they could actually go back and redo those scenes for like the 50th anniversary or whatever. Or sooner, please. I mean, that wouldn't, or I'd be 52 by the time they did that. But as for subjective, I absolutely love the movie. I may not like how Arnold Schwarzenegger is with his politics and shit nowadays. And I may not agree with a lot of what Carl Weathers says politically on Twitter, but I still do respect both of them as actors. They are great actors. They take their trade very seriously, and I absolutely love how well they were in this movie. Bill Duke, Jesse Ventura, Richard Chavez, Shane Black, Jesse Ventura, all of them. Sonny Landon, even though I heard he was an asshole to work with, they all did a good job in this movie. And the blood, sweat, and tears and the shits and the sickness that they had to go through to make this movie only makes it even better. So, yes, while I may not agree with some of their real world politics, I can still acknowledge that they did an awesome job in this movie. So, yes, thank you to all of those: Carl Weathers, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Jesse Ventura, Sonny Landham, Richard Chavez, Shane Black. Thank you to all of those who made this movie. John McTiernan, thank you for Stan Winston, who has sadly passed, and especially Kevin Peter Hall, who played the Predator, who made the Predator what he was with his body movements and whatnot. Thank you so much, and you are missed, and it is so sad that he had such a brief life. So anyway, folks, that's going to be the review. The hints for the next movie. You all are automatically going to know what it is as soon as I give these hints. So I'm not going to remind you of the hints later in the week. The hints are Bubblegum and Alien. So if you know it, do not spoil it. Thank you so much for those who tuned in. Jack of all casuals, Chris Daly, Cayman Rider 64, NB Geeks. Who else? The lovely Sherry, Happy Dino, Jacob Ironside. Who else? Epi the Oz. Thank you for coming in. Thank you all for who tuned in, who may not have even commented. Y'all are freaking awesome. I shall see you all next Monday for me and NB Geek will be talking for guest choice reviews. We will be talking Equilibrium, and that will be Monday at noon. So Tuesday will be the next mystery review. Anyway, folks, thank you so much for tuning in. If you all catch us on the replay, you all know the drill. Like, comment, subscribe, share, all that jazz. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. What did you think of the original 1987 Predator film? Did you like it? Did you not? What were your favorite parts about it? Let me know, folks. This has been Orange Hat Reviews. Stay humble.